Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
MHS Student Advisory. Who's up?
Oops.
Oh, thank you. Could everyone hear me before?
Yeah.
And okay, so 8 members of our student council at the high school went to this conference, and it was held down in Hyannis, and it's called MASC, and it's Massachusetts Association of Student Councils, and it is a 3-day leadership conference where student councils come from all across the state to take part in different leadership workshops to get new ideas to bring back to their own councils. The different workshops encourage us to meet new people and become better leaders than we were before entering the conference. One of the workshops that I did was basically kind of like Project Adventure, like one of the gym classes that we have at the high school. And we had to work in groups with random people that we didn't know and had to turn a silver tarp over to its gold side without stepping off the tarp. And it made us as a group work together and listen to what others had to say, different strategies and different ideas. And that's kind of what we do in our council too, to be able to plan our big events. So we got to take what we learned from this conference back to our student councils to help plan our events. And our next event coming up is Mr. MHS on Friday, March 22nd at 7 at the Whitcomb Auditorium. So if anyone wants to come, you can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Thank you.
I actually have a question. So, like, when you're down at the conference, do you have different, like, sessions that you go to?
Yes, they were 3 sessions a day, and it was different workshops and different activities throughout those workshops. And then in the middle, we had different keynote speakers come in, so they were kind of motivational speakers that would come in and talk to us about leadership and their experiences. So, and that's kind of what we did. And we had free time, obviously, and then lunch and stuff like that. But yeah, we had 3 main sessions a day with the different workshops we had to do.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? So we have tonight?
All
Great.
right.
Thank you very much. Mr. Superintendent, you have an introduction for us?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I'd like to introduce to the community Amy Mulcairn. Amy is going to be the new principal of our yet-to-be-named elementary school. I'd like to just take a moment and talk about her background and then invite her up to speak. Amy is an experienced elementary school teacher and administrator, strong educational background, who brings proficiency in data-driven decision-making to create programs, plans, and opportunities for advanced student achievement. Amy has an extensive education history. She has a certificate of advanced graduate studies in educational leadership from Binghamton University. She has her Master's of Education in Intensive Special Needs from Simmons College. Additionally, she did her Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education at the State University of New York College at Cortland. For the past 3.5 years, Amy's been the assistant principal at the Charlotte A. Dunning Elementary School in Framingham, Mass. Along with the assistant principal work, before that, she was also a special education team chair in the Grafton Public Schools. Before her administrative work, Amy had 13 years of successive experience as an elementary school teacher in grades K through 4 in both Framingham and the Union Endicott School District. She went through our process, which was exhaustive at times. We met for one of our first interviews on Valentine's Day. So for someone to be so dedicated to come out on Valentine's Day, we appreciate that. The student and staff feedback was excellent. My favorite feedback from this entire process was from an elementary student who wrote in the margins, "Are there any other questions we should ask?" And she said no, she covered it all. So I think that best explains it, and we're excited to bring her onto the team. So would you like to come up and just briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. That was a great introduction.
So she
Thank you.
came out on Valentine's Day.
I
For
did.
some reason, I don't believe she'd come out on St. Patrick's Day.
If I come out on Valentine's Day, my husband makes dinner, so it worked out nicely. I'm truly honored to be here. I'm really just excited about what lies ahead and the great opportunity here to become part of the Marlborough Public School community. I thank you for the thoughtful planning that went into this position and the opportunity to spend the next year getting to know the Marlborough students and the Marlborough staff and the Marlborough curriculum and programs and everything else there is to know. So I'm very grateful for that. I think that that's a really fortunate opportunity for me as I prepare to launch the new school with all of you. So thank you, and I'm honored.
Any questions?
Thanks.
No. Well, welcome aboard. We have a lot of great students and a lot of great staff here, and we're looking to welcome you into that group. So
Thank you. I'm excited.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone who participated in the committee. And Patty Brown did a fantastic job running this for us, so thank you very much.
Superintendent's report.
I'm up again. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to go through my entry plan. I'm not going to read every single thing. I gave you the full entry plan, and my process will be to additionally go back to the schools and meet with staff and talk about my findings in the entry plan. But I wanted to highlight a lot of the findings for the committee tonight, and then give you a chance to read it, think about it, reflect on it, and then ask me questions in the future if you have any. So in this process that I've been going through, you know, I began meeting with folks before my start date in July. And, you know, I met in person with over 200 faculty members. I was able to get close to 200 responses to a survey that I sent out to parents, which I'm very appreciative of. And really it was for me to learn. Just because I've been here and been in the Marlborough Public Schools for 5 years didn't mean that I knew everything I needed to know to be superintendent. So a lot of times when you're in a previous role, like I was in the finance role, you can look at things through a finance lens, and you can see through the finance prism, but you need to look through a much larger lens for the superintendency. So this helped me step back, talk to people, get their feelings, and really talk about what's going on in the school department right now. So the first and most foremost finding, the thing that was universal, was that folks really love the staff, and they love the communication and relationships that they get from our staff. There was a very high value for the relationships that people have been able to make with our teachers, and there's really a lot of respect from the community about our teaching staff. I think that speaks volumes about the ability and the work of our teachers to continually try to reach out, continually try to develop those relationships with parents. I heard almost universally through 192 different responses that communications with teachers was excellent. The rest of us need to get a little bit better. So, and we're going to work on that. And I think that's because the teachers are accessible, and that teachers are very quick to answer the questions of parents, get on the phone, and really talk to people about what's going on. The finding that came up most often from my interviews was the parents and faculty expressed concern over individual student behavior and the impact it may have on the educational process. I think what people were expressing to me was their frustration in not feeling effective in their role as an educator. So I think that's something that we have to, as a team, all of us, come together and really start to think about different strategies to try to attack this issue over time. I think the first thing is to reflect and to understand, and also tell people that they're being heard. That what they are telling us is having an impact, and that we are trying to think of ways to help them get what they need to be able to serve the students in front of them. So I look at this and I wonder about what are we doing to proactively affect our school culture? How can we take PBIS from the hallways to the classroom? That's what I like to say. The PBIS is wonderful. It does a lot, but sometimes it only affects the surfaces. And if it's only affecting the surfaces, we need to go deeper. And if we need to go deeper, what is it that we're looking to do to be able to give everyone the tools they need? I think having a new electronic system doesn't solve the issue. That actually stops some of the communication between the people who need to talk the most. So when I look at a lot of these different programs we're doing, there's things that we have to do because we have to do them, but then like electronic reporting and how we deal with the state and all those types of issues, but how are we going to positively affect this moving forward? So that was a major finding I had almost across every single school interview I did, and it was in a majority of the parent responses that I received as well. I think people are just looking for some guidance, they're looking for some help, and from the teaching staff, I think folks want to feel effective in their everyday job. You know, they want to feel effective that they are being able to teach and being able to reach every student. And sometimes these issues with behavior don't make people feel very effective. It can make them feel ineffective at times. So I think we have to recognize that, tell them that we're listening, understand what the issue is, and then start to move forward and try to solve some of these issues. The second finding is that while we have some standard curriculum materials in the elementary schools, currently there's not a common understanding or agreed upon method for delivery of the curriculum at that level. This has been one of the major undertakings that Mary and I have both been working very hard on with our elementary principals. I think they've gotten sick of me saying the same thing over and over, but I keep on telling them we have one city, we need one program. And I've said that again and again, I'm going to continue to say it. We need to have equity across all of our elementary schools. So when I open up the 4th elementary school and I stand in front of the parents next year, I want to be able to say, no matter where you go, you're going to get the same opportunities. So right now, I think we're beginning to really solidly attack this issue. We're getting to a common schedule. There's a lot of common understandings that we're coming to right now as far as the delivery of the curriculum. And I'm really excited to see the new work that we're doing RTI-wise, response to intervention, in the kindergarten and 1st grade levels. So I think as we continue to build upon this, this is something that we can definitely do. And we can definitely get this done before we open the 4th school. I think it's definitely something we can accomplish. I would look at this, and one of the reasons I put this on here is we invest a lot of money and a lot of time into our curriculum materials. If we're not using them with fidelity across the whole range, then how do I know if they're actually working? So part of it for me is be able to then look at this and reflect and say, is what we've invested in working for our kids? If not, what are we going to do about it? Right now it's difficult because if all the schools are using them in different ways, there's not a consistent performance that I can point to. The third finding is that we have incredible technology in the district. I know Tom Platty's here tonight, and thanks to his advocacy as well as everyone in the district who's looking to step up the technology to meet the demands of what our students are asking for. We have the technology, we're investing in it. Over the past 5 years, I think we've invested close to $3 million in investing in the equipment in the classrooms. But if it doesn't work, then it's very frustrating. So in this year's budget, you saw that we put in for an additional FTE in the IT department to be able to help us quickly go through tickets and quickly respond to teachers in a way that doesn't mount that frustration over time. Folks shouldn't have to wait a long time to get a projector repaired or to get their Elmo device working again. So I think by investing in the technology department, we also have to invest in the infrastructure to be able to support them. The fourth finding, this is one that I think people are very aware of, is that everyone I spoke to was pretty fatigued with the leadership turnover across the district. They've been through too many initiatives. There's been too much in recent years of turning around and having different expectations. So the plea that I heard was, can you first understand what we're doing before you change it? And I take that to heart. So I'm trying to understand for myself going through this process, what do we have that's working for us, and then really protect that before we decide to make any changes or implement any other initiatives. So I look at this one as basically saying, please try to understand us before you try to change anything. And I'm taking that to heart as I go through this report as well. So I look at this and I say to myself, how does this interact with our upcoming strategy for improvement? So to me, what this says is we shouldn't overload the strategy for improvement with a lot of initiatives, new initiatives. What we should be doing is reflecting on what we're already doing and then trying to determine whether it's being successful or not. And then move the programs out that are not being successful and then think about what the next steps are going to be. I think we also have to identify the practices and the programs that are working, and sometimes that can be the hardest thing to do, is actually to determine how is something working or not working. I think that this also ties into the curriculum, because when we're bringing in new curriculum, when we're bringing in new materials, that's another initiative that people have to learn this stuff. They have to then teach with these materials. We need to be very cognizant of that. My fifth finding is really about class sizes. At this time, it's very difficult for us to be able to create equity all the way across the elementary programs, mainly because we've run out of space in some of our buildings. I look at the Jark Elementary, and we have class sizes this year of 25 in the fourth grade, and that's really not acceptable to me. I don't want to see that. But at the same time, even if we could give them another FTE, there's just no classrooms left in the building to be had. We've already turned the art room into a classroom. We've turned the music room into intervention space. We've turned everything upside down to be able to meet the educational needs. So the good news is the steel's going up. The joists are in place. There's riveters working. So we are quickly seeing that the new school is real, that it is being built. So we do have a future ahead of us that we can start to look at these things. And I think this is going to be one of the major projects that we undertake when we talk about redistricting, is to try to create space at every single school to make sure that we can have class size equity and that we don't bump up against these 25, 26 students in a class. I'd like also to say it's not just elementary. We are facing high class sizes at Wickham. I know some of our specials right now are 30, 31, 32 kids, and that's not where we want to be. So when I look at the class sizes, I'm also looking district-wide. So that's something I think we can definitely work on in the future, and especially in the fall of 2020, it'll give us a great opportunity to try to level that playing field as far as class size equity. Speaking of space, my sixth finding is that the preschool has demand, but we don't have any space here to meet that demand. So my hope is that with the administration exiting this building, that we'll be able to create opportunities to expand the preschool offerings to the students in the city. There is a ton of research, which I'm not going to go through now, that talks about the importance of preschool in urban settings and how this can truly be a game changer for those students. I think that we'll have a real opportunity once we leave this building that we can open up at least 4 or 5 more classrooms. That'll take time. It won't be all on day one. But over time, if we can commit to that, I think that is a model that really can impact the elementary schools in a really positive way. It's all about getting kids ready for kindergarten. And if we can create models, maybe not universal because we don't have space for 400 kids here, but if we can create models to support kids in this environment and get them ready for kindergarten, it's going to be really, really impactful. On top of that, it gives us an opportunity to also start providing EL services at a younger age and really serve a much wider group of kids than we're serving right now. My seventh finding is that the district needs to adopt and also promote multiple pathways for graduation for students. I'm impressed with the work by Principal Riley. I mean, we've really already jumped on this one. I think you've seen this. And the work that Mr. Riley has done already this year, I believe will start to lay the groundwork of lowering that dropout rate and also engaging students through graduation. And I think that's really important. I did note in here that our dropout rate did increase. And I think one area where we're really struggling is keeping students who are EL or formerly EL in high school. That's where we had the largest percentage of our dropouts. So I think specifically designing programs to try to attack this issue is important, but also designing programs that affect the entire population and that can attract kids to stay in school even if they're not on a college track. So I think there's a lot of work that we've already done that you'll start to see the fruits of next year that we can then replicate for different parts of the business sector. We have a wonderful program that we're going to be starting with Patriot Ambulance. I'm excited for some other programs that we won't talk about yet, but they're in the works with manufacturing and some local companies. But that's the type of work that I think will really lead us to being able to incentivize our students to stay all the way through their senior year and get that diploma. So I'm excited for that work. My eighth finding was the week-long STEM summer camp was a great success. I remember just hearing about all the great things and seeing them firsthand for myself. And talking with a lot of people, and especially parents, they really were excited about that. And they wanted to also say that we would love to see things throughout the school year, not just in the summer. And that really brought me to look at what are the extracurricular activities offered at the elementary level. And if they're not offered through the PTO, they're not really offered. We don't specifically offer a lot of extracurricular activities for elementary kids. So I think this is an opportunity that with our educational plan that we have for the new school, we can also adopt a lot of STEM-based activities for kids after school to engage them as well. So I think that it's important for us when we're looking to open the new building and we're talking about all these equity issues. One thing I'd love to be able to see is have district-wide after-school programs that are similar in nature that all of the kids can participate in and have that same experience getting into then what would be the middle school. So I think there's opportunities there, and I really think there's opportunities for the music program too. Once we bring 5th grade down into the elementary levels, I think there's fantastic opportunities for the music program to continue and thrive at that level. Whether it be individual lessons or whether we do after-school activities related to music. So I'm excited for that when we get there and we can start talking about it. So I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to take a break and get some water. But I just wanted to go over the highlights of the entry plan. And my goal is to, throughout the rest of this year, go back to the buildings and meet with the faculty, talk with them about our findings. As you can see, and as I wrote very clearly, I brought you a lot of findings. I didn't bring you any solutions. We're not there yet. So I'm at the point where I've heard a lot of this. I've investigated it myself. I've looked at the data. I've looked at the district review, everything that's been coming in. And these are some of the things that have come bubbling up to the surface that I think need attention. So this is our first step. And I think the next step is going to be taking the information we receive from all of these sources, working together, and then creating a strategy for improvement with some measurable and actionable goals. And not make it full of a whole bunch of initiatives for teachers that then the administrators, what are we doing in this? And I always look at that too. It can't just be the teacher initiatives. We need to really go beyond that and start looking at actionable goals for the whole district.
Questions for the superintendent? Seeing none, Ms. Murphy.
Thank you. As you know, our District Improvement Plan Goal 2.2 is focused on identifying and implementing common instructional practices. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education recently announced the statewide release of a new online calibration training platform. This tool will support our work. The goal of the platform is to help groups of observers work together to refine a common understanding of high-quality practice and feedback so that we can better identify effective instruction and support educators in their continued growth. Participants will be assigned videos by the superintendent or his designee, then real-time data displays of the scores and feedback are used to facilitate a discussion of perceptions of practice and generate characteristics of high-quality feedback. So it's like an online platform where we can assign a group of evaluators the same teaching moment to observe, to stop and rate the performance of the video, and to then give feedback on what's going on. And then afterwards, we can gather all the data and have a conversation about if there's any differences and what is effective feedback. Because we've been really focused on effective feedback and not putting in writing as much as having those face-to-face conversations, as our joint evaluation committee has been really focused on. So this will help us in that work. We will use the platform to support evaluators in refining their collective understanding of effective instruction and high-quality feedback, which is one of our goals. Reinforce priorities around high-quality instructional practices as we continue our common vision of that, and improve consistency within the school and across schools in analyzing evidence, providing feedback, and using professional judgment to determine ratings. I've also attached to my report the spring-summer mini-course catalog. The focus of these offerings are courses that will allow staff to recertify their licenses and meet the state requirements of 15 PDPs in EL and special education. Additionally, there will be many curriculum committees meeting throughout the summer, and I'll be sharing that information in the next few months. Finally, next month, I'd like to give you a brief overview of a new literacy model that includes flexible grouping and embedded RTI in our elementary schools. The superintendent mentioned it earlier in his report. This new model is being referred to as the Power Hour and is being implemented in kindergarten first and will expand to first grade at the beginning of next year. The goal of the Power Hour is to have every single first grader in Marlborough Public Schools at benchmark by the end of the first grade. It's not negotiable. That's what we're working towards. I would also like to have the three principals give a brief presentation at the end of the first cycle of the Power Hour in their schools later on this year. Thank you.
Any questions? No questions. Minutes of February 26, 2019.
Motion to accept with an change that I
Motion
received.
made and seconded to approve as amended. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public participation. Any public participation? Public participation. Seeing none. School calendar.
Per the recommendations of the school committee, we did go back and switch the October meeting dates to be on October 15th and 29th for next year.
Good.
Move to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Ms. Ryan?
I just had a question, because this came up last week when we had our half-day PD, that on this calendar, our half-days, such as like March 5th and October 3rd, it just says early release, but does not mention PD day. Maybe we could add that, because some parents, a couple parents were questioning, like, well, what is the half-day for? Was this for testing? Was it for teachers? Just a little, even on the calendar, online calendar, it didn't specify. Only where it specified was the MHS sign.
It's also on the
We can do that.
Cool. Because it is mentioned on the buildings.
Yeah, it's important. I will.
Good.
That's it.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. MHS schedule adjustment.
I'd like to invite Principal Dan Riley up. Traditionally, there has been schedule adjustments for MCAS testing and other state benchmarks.
Thank you. Thank you for having this on.
Did you see a green
Green
is the
light?
green light on?
I think we're good now.
Ah,
All right.
there you go.
I'm the STEM guy. You figure it out. All right. So looking at the calendar adjustments, we are asking for the committee to consider on March 26th, as well as May 21st and May 22nd. Those are MCAS staggered openings. One of those dates is for the ELA computerized exam, and the other 2 are for the mathematics computerized exam, that we would change the staggered opening start to 10:45 a.m. for the school to be consistent for all 4 days. We're asking for that because with the new computerized exam, we want to kind of plan for anything that may come up that we haven't experienced before. So the extra time would be super helpful.
You only identified 3 days, and then you said 4 days.
The one that's already in there is 10:45 a.m., so we're not asking for a change to that. This would make the other 3 consistent with that one.
Okay.
So thank you.
And the rest we already approved.
Yes, the rest are good.
A motion to approve the changes.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. 2019-20 MHS Program of Studies.
Throw it right back to Mr. Riley.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. This is a really important document for us. And the approach we took this year is to recognize that this document really represents the professional image of the high school. And so with that, it's a collaborative effort in order to make sure that this really looks its best. We strived for perfection. I think we hit right around the excellence mark. There's a lot of pages, a lot of words. So I open it up to feedback as we move forward. It is really important to us that we continue to polish this up, and we may not have caught everything. But you did have a chance to review the document. You saw the changes that Ms. Brandt eloquently outlined for you as a sort of front page for this document. Some of the things that have already come up just since we've done these initial round of edits. The repetitiveness of the AP message, for example, something that we may reconsider and try to consolidate within the document. Denoting the difference between half-year and full-year courses, so that when families read this, it is very clear on the difference between the 2. We did remove the course numbers, and there was a designation that probably only a guidance counselor would understand that did differentiate between half-year and full-year courses. But again, this is our information going out to the community, mainly to students and parents. We want them to be able to read it. We want it to be clear, concise, so that it comes across very easily. And that's why we made some of those changes. We also added a few charts, if you notice that, throughout the beginning sections to try to outline that junior and senior experience a little bit more clearly. Another adjustment that we've made to the document that you've already received, instead of intensive reading seminar, we're looking at this as more of an intensive literacy seminar, especially because it's at the high school level. It's a much more rigorous experience than just a reading class. And lastly, the removal of the full year description under our psychology course in the history and social sciences department. So just a few examples of the fact that hours upon hours were spent in a collaborative effort on revising this document, refining it, but there are even some things that have come up since we've done that. And so any feedback that we can get from the committee on continuing to improve it, we embrace that. So with that, I turn it over to the committee for any questions.
Questions from the committee?
I don't have questions. I want to thank Mr. Riley for sending this out with all of the edits. I actually already sent him back, being the nitpicky person that I am. But most of them were just punctuations and spelling and things like that. And I didn't have any questions with the changes, except as you pointed out, like knowing if it's a half-year course, taking away the numbers. As you said, guidance is really the only one. And the stressing of the AP test, the fee, is it a problem each year? I mean, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The collection component.
So collection of it, so when they sign up for the course, that's a conversation obviously they have to have with their family. And if they're on free and reduced, I assume they pay the free and reduced for AP.
Yes. Yep.
So I hope we can improve on that, the communication, going back to the conversation. I mean, it can't just be the teacher, it has to be through guidance, it has to be the parents. It's the community that has to have the conversation about it, so.
And there's a broad commitment from the student body on advanced placement, and it's the commitment to fulfill the obligations of the course by participating in the exam. That's a component of it as well.
Right.
I think most students do that going into the course, and they stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're asked to pay the bill in November, so, and the test isn't until May, so.
Yeah.
Even if they have to, somehow, we come up with a payment plan or whatever the case may be to accommodate, but there is that commitment. And we do a great job in offering all these APs and.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm all taken. But thank you for your diligence in this.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve the program of studies.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
support.
Dan.
Thank you.
Acceptance of donations and gifts. Donor's Choice, Whitcomb School, 5th grade classroom library, $272.98.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Donor's Choice, Early Childhood Center, $200.06.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Reports of subcommittees.
You have
How
to
about
vote
to
on
vote
them.
on both of them?
We didn't vote on that?
No.
You made a second, but
Motion
then you
made and
didn't
seconded to
actually
approve both
vote.
donations. It's been a long day, all right? Leave me alone. Tax season, I'm tired.
All right, everybody
It
get the
is tax
violins out.
Motion to approve both donations. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. Reports of school committee subcommittees. Any reports? Seeing none. Members forum.
I have reviewed the warrant and will sign it.
Thank you. Any other members? Ms. Bowden
I
Hedinger.
would like to congratulate you on your new
yes, your new role.
role as
Nice.
Grand
Thank you
Poobah
very
of the
much.
of the mayors of Massachusetts.
Yep. Everyone stepped forward and I didn't hear what he said. So I was left. I was left. So, no, thank you very much. Good group of people you learn a lot from. I try to attend the meetings on a regular basis, but whether it's the new people that are just coming in or the people that have been there for years, you always pick something up. So it's a great group. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good, yeah, congratulations. And also, congratulations to, welcome. We're looking forward to getting that building finished and open, and it's great.
Anything else? Any other members? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.